Like, big enough. I'm not thorough. It's foolish. Listen, bro, this is the Porch Podcast, episode 73. Here's your intro. You're all welcome. This is the LW segment. Intro Goldie. Outro Young. What I'm about. Moving purple drought, nigga. Listen, yo. I have some stuff to say. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be easy to say. Why I'm just saying? Hold on. It's gonna be hard to hear. It's gonna be hard to talk about. It's gonna be hard to affect the community in the way that I want to, but I'm not gonna stop trying. I feel like when it comes down to this type of situation, the people that are most affected are the LM, the Latino males, the brothers of lighter skin, sometimes even brothers like myself of darker skin, us Afro-Latino males, us males that may not even consider ourselves tethers, we consider ourselves to be black, even if we're not foundational black Americans. We're black as part of the diaspora. The LW and her obsession with blackness. A lot of times, the same type of women that will judge you for not being culturally black or FBA are also the kind of women that say stuff like, oh, if you look anything like my father, then no, it's a dub. Or if you look anything like my family, no, it's a dub. Meaning, if you look Hispanic, if you look anything that reminds them of themselves, anything that reminds them of Latinidad, being Hispanic, being of the diaspora, but not being FBA. Things of that nature affect them differently, affects them down to a raw nerve. I've had women who I've pursued that have been black and been okay with me being Hispanic. There's been women who have had really strong biases towards me because of my heritage. There have been women who have mistreated me, talked down to me because I'm not FBA, right? Now, LW owes a lot of what she has to the BW, but we already know that in a large part, a large weight of the interpersonal relations between Latinas and FBA women is really, how do I put this? It's contingent on like-mindedness. A lot of times, women of the diaspora, if they are FBA, will be very rigid and very forceful with their wanting to alienate the LW, wanting to make her feel like she's not black or that she is taking from the community when she dates a black male. Now, in actual fact, I've been dated, I've been courted, and women have bagged me with the pretext that they are Latin women believing that I am an FBA male, believing that I am black in the traditional American sense, not that I have any sort of African or any other diaspora that I may be belonging to. A lot of times people aren't aware The people that may be darker skinned can be Indian, can be from the Philippines, can be Malaysian, can be Hawaiian, and they may be dark as me or darker. I've heard people say that there's a big resistance to being called FBA or black in the Dominican sector, the Puerto Rican sector, and it's a big issue, racism in general, colorism in general, but there's a sort of obsession with the LW. There's a sort of, or should I say sort of, issue where I've actually had a girl almost not want to date me after originally being attracted to me and liking the type of personality I had, because she found out that I was in fact in the diaspora but having my Latin roots, right? So when I questioned this girl, a girl I grew up with, she's a Boricua, Puerto Rican on both sides. This female really said that I'm black in tone, but not in features. Or like I've had other ones say, well, I'm black in features and in tone, but not in culture, right? So what I would say was, well, are you attracted to my culture? Or are you attracted to me? And what happens is, being adjacent isn't good enough, and a lot of times these are the same LWs that will use the hard R in the argument, that will call you an N-word in an argument, or, you know, say that black B thinks that she's better than me, and that black B is mad that I have a FBA male. And a lot of times it may have some fruit and validity in actual fact, but the toxicity, how do I put this, the innate issues that arise in this type of situation, they really do come from a place of being sick. In a lot of respects, we're not really addressing what is the actual issue. And in actuality, the issue has a lot more to do with, how do I put this, it has a lot more to do with the culture, and how a lot of times LWs will have an issue with being perceived to be black, and in a lot of other instances they may choose to be perceived a certain way, and it may be that they want to be considered Hispanic, but they want the child, if it is that he is mixed with the FBA gentlemen in diaspora, that they're black and not just that, you know. In closing, what I think is not really being said is that they have a resistance, and maybe through trauma, maybe through experience that has been negative with the culture, and pushback for being different, for having fuller hair, for them themselves being treated like they're not like the rest, that they aspire to be more black than not. I've seen women with perfectly beautiful hair with weaves and wigs, and not just black women, but women of all ethnicities have had, bad experiences growing up with maybe having, a male in the house, or maybe not having a male in the house, maybe having a predatory male in the house. And a lot of times, the features is what they want to change. The things about them that they dislike have a lot to do with what they see visually. So if you are a LM, or if you're a BM, and as a black male or a Latin male, you may resemble more closely being black, you are gonna have a more favorable kind of interaction with the LW, and you're gonna most likely get an opening to flirt, to maybe have that love reciprocated. And in a large way, it's a little sad and it's kind of sick, because if there is not an aversion to being attracted to your own men, it's to the men of the diaspora because you just merely are into darker toned men, then there isn't an issue there. But if your aversion is culturally, you having a problem with the men of your culture, and you seeking other kind of men, not that that is an issue, because it isn't, but to have a rigid disdain, to have a problem with, to find unattractive, somebody that looks just like your dad, somebody that looks just like the men of your family, there's a deep-seated root there, and the obsession is real. Because I've also heard of LWs beefing with BWs, not because of anything to do with, like I said, any kind of conquest of a man, but because of cultural differences and, one side assuming that it's better than the other side, and it's not a one-way street by any chance. Of course, both sides have issues with each other, and for whatever reason, I might not agree for any good reason why women of the diaspora would have to beef with each other, but like maybe, people in one culture and the people in another culture may clash over their cultures. It's normal to see, but it is something that can take you for a big world when someone is basically the same background as you, but won't date you, and it has nothing to do with your skin tone, it has nothing to do with your personality or the way you are, and it has more to do with what culture you're from. There was a time I thought that was racism. No better now, I know it's more like prejudice, but an innate social and cultural prejudice, it's more than an obsession, it's a problem. That's what I had to say about that.